necessarily there. But a couple things, like if you're making a beef stew, it's really good to brown the meat first, which can sometimes be a little bit more, one step extra. You don't have to, but just like if you were doing slow cooking something, you would probably brown your meat just to get that flavor out of the meat. So it's always a good idea. Ground meat you should definitely brown beforehand, because obviously all that grease, you want to get it out of there before you put it into the slow cooker. As you were saying, spices, especially, using dried spices versus fresh spices. Dried spices are much stronger. So if you got to be a little careful. If a lot of times you won't have the fresh spice, especially if you go to my Safeway, Kensington. So just be careful when you're spicing stuff. When I cook at home and I'm not using a slow cooker, I'm kind of like smelling and tasting, and that's why I can't bake, because I like to just keep adding as the meal goes. So you learned the lesson the hard way. Less liquid in there because it's going to create its own liquid with the steam. Roasted chicken, some people will use butter to just kind of make it so it'll brown. So we're going to start with about 2 tablespoons of softened butter. This has just been sitting out. We're going to take an orange, and we're just going to grate it, get the rind in there. I don't know if you'll have a microplane. I think this thing's one of the greatest things in the world. I use this all the time. I don't measure a lot of things, just to warn you. And I have to look at the recipe. I'm really bad about following recipes. My other half will tell you that I'll get home and have everything together, and I didn't read through the recipe. It says marinate 24 hours. And that's dinner to me. So, just to warn you, fresh rosemary. We're going to use some of this. This is from Judy's garden that she so nicely brought to me. So, getting rosemary off is very simple. Just going to cut it up. So when you're cutting any kind of herbs or whatever, remember when you're cutting, you want to kind of go with a little bit of a forward motion, because chopping necessarily isn't going to work as well. The slicing through of the herb or whatever you're cutting is going to do it much better. I was so glad she brought me this. She has, I guess, outdoors she grows it. Yeah. She has like a giant rosemary bush over here. So that's going to go in there. Okay. Salt, kosher salt, and garlic. I love garlic. This calls for 2, I'm using 3. The way I like to do garlic, smash it with a knife. Easy to peel. And then I use a garlic press, which is right there. Sometimes I don't use a garlic press, and I normally end up at the Urgent Care in Rehoboth Beach. Which I did one year. Don't tip my finger off trying to cut it. And I didn't go right away, so they couldn't stitch it. The next morning, when I couldn't get the bleeding to stop again, so they had to cauterize it. So that was a lot of fun.
Salesperson for that garlic.
I'm sorry, what?
That's a good sales point.
Yes, I think that was Megan's point. She goes, "Why don't you get yourself a garlic press?" I said, "I have one at home. I didn't have one at our house in Rehoboth." So now at this point, all you're going to do is mix this up. So, and this is a great way to make an herb butter. You can actually take this if you wanted to, doing herb butters, and then kind of reform it and put it back in the fridge, so it'll be like a solid, and you use it on bread or something. Not necessarily this particular herb butter, but if you were going to do one like an Italian seasoning, for instance, and just serve it with some Italian bread. And after this comes the fun part. Oh, okay. Forgot one thing. So in the recipe, it talks about your slow cooker and using a rack. Okay. I don't have a rack for my slow cooker. So what I did instead is I'm using carrots and potatoes as my base, okay? These are already peeled, and just as chunks. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna build this in an actual baking dish, since I don't have a slow cooker. So we'll just chop up some carrots. And although I'm probably not doing the best job right now, is you want to try to do, when you're cutting up vegetables and stuff, you want to try to get them all the same size so that they cook evenly. So we're going to have that. You just need to work your fingers under there. Loosen up that skin best you can. Now these particular chickens are from Costco. And a lot of times we'll get, I'll use it like a Purdue oven stuff. I just find them more meaty. You just take your hands and stick it under there. This is a pretty simple recipe. It's just a little messy. And of course the skin is about half of that mixture, getting it nice and under the skin.
You can always wear surgical gloves too. If you
Yes.
don't want to get garlic oil or get clean off with lemon.
Yeah, because my hands will smell like garlic now through the tomorrow. So I'm just going to coat the bird with the rest of it. Did you do it satisfied? Yeah. So, see, it's kind of messy. I don't think I'd make it on Food Network. Imagine that this is the slow cooker. So we'll just take the base with some carrots, potatoes, and this becomes our rack. And then you can also eat carrots afterwards. This is going to go on top of that. I'm always like pepper with chicken.
People are hitting our house.
Go salt and pepper. And then I added to the recipe, which is not in the book. I cut this orange in half. I just pour the orange juice over it. About half the orange. And then I shove it in there.
Seriously, okay.
And then I take a sprig of rosemary and shove it in.
Okay, it says orange pieces.
Yeah, I just take the whole deal. Because that's, I make it, when I do a chicken oven stuffer, I do like that poultry blend, and I use lemons, and just do the same idea. And that's ready to go in the slow cooker, okay?
And the cookie tray look for the rack too, just to, yeah.
So this is what the end product looks like.